First post, 8th of May 2023, India must concentrate on ammunition until full indigenization as the threat from China is serious. More than 60 nations worldwide purchase weapons and other military supplies from Russia. Due to the ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine that has lasted for more than a year, Russia is having a tough time replenishing its arsenal and other war supplies. As a result, the collection of weapons, ammunition, and other war supplies, including spare parts, to other nations is also suffering. While some nations in the globe, particularly those without ongoing conflicts or with peaceful borders, may be able to wait a while, India cannot afford such a disruption because the majority of its defense equipment is imported, and that too from Russia. India cannot afford the current state of affairs. China has violated the line of actual control, LAC, at several points in eastern Ladakh and escalates the war along the LAC daily. India has started a focused indigenization program for its defense industry to suit its needs and those of friendly foreign nations. Given our concern with procedures and lack of embrace of unconventional alternatives, the current drive toward indigenization may take anywhere between 1 and 2 decades. India must start the required steps to appropriately respond to the Chinese dispute over China utilizing other resources because we cannot now choose when a conflict begins with China. Maintaining our current equipment inventory should remain a top priority, which calls for focusing on adequate MRO support. To this end, unavailable spare parts can be sourced from the local MSME private sector, and the nation can continue moving toward complete indigenization qualitatively while emphasizing cutting-edge technology. India must come up with solutions to this issue in the interim. Given the difficulties associated with large-scale imports and indigenization, India has an option to find a military solution from within its resources. The option is to concentrate on producing the ammunition on a vast scale domestically. Although nearly 80% of the ground forces equipment in the army is ex-import, India has made some headway in producing shots. In addition to reorienting the national idea of war fighting, which holds that a significant amount of ammunition can be delivered on the enemy by employing a few numbers of weapons, this capacity can be increased to include a few more categories that need to be optimized. In the paragraphs that follow, we'll try to elucidate the thought. Most weapons feature 2 or more rates of fire that can be chosen to deliver the necessary quantity of ammunition on the targets depending on the level of deterioration or neutralization required. The higher rate of fire option can be used to accomplish this, but it will primarily have an impact on 2 things. First, early ammunition replenishment will be necessary because more rounds are being used to pursue the target. Second, weapons may experience more rapid wear and tear, necessitating early replacement. However, this replacement will primarily be needed for the barrels rather than the entire equipment. Given the urgency and time constraints, it is significantly simpler to manufacture extra barrels for all equipment with the Indian Army than to attempt to indigenize or import significant numbers of complete kits. Once we can obtain enough spare barrels with more considerable ammo, we can adjust our approach to deploying our guns. The virtual abundance of resources can be produced by fewer guns shooting at a rapid rate with ample spare barrels and no lack of ammo. With the same number of weapons, the efficacy can be increased by at least doubling or even more with the quick fire of additional rounds, a reliable logistics network, and an open mind to hone drills and procedures. There will also be related difficulties, but they are all solvable. The China challenge is real and cannot be put off any longer. Any form of external assistance should only be considered a bonus, not a factor in priority planning. With today's technology and the growing demand of the Indian private sector, it is possible to produce all the spare parts, spare barrels, and ammunition required. The defense forces must increase the scope of their hand-holding strategy, emphasizing product rather than process. The hierarchical leadership must change their warfighting approach to prevail even in the event of a negative gradient in our favor on the force matrix. The proposed idea of creating virtual resources can potentially transform the game. The illustration provided for gun also applies to all other kinds of equipment.